All right, folks. Hi there. I think we'll get started. Still waiting for a couple of folk to join us, but I think that's fine. Well, welcome. It's good to see people here again this year. As you know, as most of you know, I'm Matt. I helped found the festival with my co-founders, Ella and Tony and Anna. I'll talk about them in more detail at the end. So I think just to get cracking on, we've got a few things lined up for you today. We've got, sorry, a little bit distracted by people joining. I'm with you now. Okay, so thanks for joining us today. This is our second annual Ada Scotland Festival, which I'm sure you all know is about addressing the persistent problem of gender imbalance in computing science and the tech industry in Scotland more broadly. Today, we've got lots of things to tell you about, all made possible by our brilliant partners, too many to mention, but you will see them all listed on the website. It's our partners that make it possible by laying on events and creating activities, and also by our sponsors, Very Connect, Autorec, and Morgan Stanley, who have been very generous in helping us run the festival again this year. So coming up, we've got a student panel, which will be chaired by my colleague Ella. After that, we've got a short keynote, a short message from Liz Dighton at Burramere High School in Edinburgh, who's going to talk to us about how they have successfully improved their gender balance in computing science. Then we've got a couple of different things we'd like to launch. We're going to launch a competition called Hack the Flag. We're going to launch a poster competition, and we're also going to launch the Inspiring Teaching Award for this year. I think there's a couple of nominees on the attendance list from last year. But yes, we'll be launching the Inspiring Teaching Award again this year. And then just to close, I'll give you a rundown of some of the events and activities that are coming up. But first of all, I'm delighted to say we've got an opening message from Jamie Hepburn MSP, who is Minister for Higher Education, Further Education, and also Youth Employment and Training. Quite the brief, but here is Mr. Hepburn.
Hello, I'm pleased to join you today to celebrate the many achievements of women in science, technology, engineering and maths. I'd like to thank the organisers of the Ada Scotland team and those who've sponsored the festival for organising this event and for inviting me to speak today. As we celebrate the first computer programmer, Ada Lovelace, I want to note that several women who work in digital data and technology within the Scottish Government had participated in a workshop for this event to highlight the varied roles and career paths across the organisation of the Scottish Government. I hope that attendees find this session informative and indeed inspiring. Data and digital skills are an increasingly prominent feature of education in the early years primary and secondary school environments. I'm clear that these skills will be essential for all of our young people as they move forward in their careers and in their wider lives. Our STEM strategy aims to build Scotland's capacity to deliver excellent STEM learning and to close equity gaps in participation and attainment in STEM. Through that strategy, we aim to change perceptions about STEM and challenge assumptions about who does what job, starting in the very earliest of years. I applaud this event for bringing people together to tackle those issues. I'm particularly conscious of the imbalance that exists within digital technology and computing science, with less than 1/5 of higher entries being female this year. We are committed to addressing this, both through the STEM strategy and meeting the recommendations within the recent Logan Review. In taking the ambitions of the Logan Review forward, the Scottish Government will ensure a commitment of equality is central to our approach so that the opportunities are realised for everyone regardless of gender. A perception that computing and related subjects are only for boys is limiting opportunities for young women, as well as limiting the talent available to the tech industry in Scotland. Tackling the gender gap in participation in STEM subjects, including computing, requires sustained systemic action starting in the early years. We need a diversity of talent. With around 75,000 people now employed in the digital sector across Scotland, and around 6,000 people expected to be required to meet the replacement and growth demand between now and just 3 years away, 2024, greater gender balance will help us to meet the growing demands of the digital economy. Research shows that it is important to tackle the underlying causes of gender imbalance through sustained and systemic action that starts early in the learning journey and continues on through education and into the workplace. To address this, as part of the STEM strategy, we are funding a dedicated team of improving gender balance and equalities officers within Education Scotland. They are working with schools and early learning providers to tackle the underlying causes of gender bias in order to improve gender balance in subject choice and careers. Their aim is to engage with all school clusters in Scotland by next year, 2022, to grow and spread successful practice in tackling gender bias in STEM. We're also looking to improve participation in STEM further higher and education courses and apprenticeships, including through college and university gender action plans. We're encouraging more people into becoming teachers of STEM subjects through offering a bursary of up to £20,000 for career changers to train to teach the STEM subjects, including, of course, computing science. The Scottish Government supports Equate's work on tackling underrepresentation of women in STEM learning and careers. Equate Scotland is working to change cultures in organisations and academia and to develop the expertise of women and their essential skills and confidence. I am aware of some of the great work being done by other organisations, including Dress Code, Codebase, and many others. Business and employers are also integral to inspiring our young people and developing their awareness of the opportunities in their sectors. And I'm pleased that there are so many involved in today's celebration. I would encourage all employers to engage with our education and training system through our schools, through our colleges, through our universities, through apprenticeships, to help us build the skills and diversity required to meet the future needs of our economy and of our society. I hope that you enjoy the varied and interesting programme ahead of you today. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you to the Minister for opening the festival. And it's good to know that this is on the agenda. Just pausing for a moment as I track down my colleague Ella, who's having some technical difficulties. Ella's going to chair the next panel. If that fails, I will step in and attempt to chair the panel myself, but it'll be in much better hands if we can get hold of Ella. What we'll do in the meantime is just skip ahead to the next little bit, if that's all right with you. We've got another little recording here for you. This one is from Liz Dighton at Boroughmere High School in Edinburgh, as I said. And Liz and the team there have been really successful in turning around the gender balance in their computing science class. And we thought it would be nice to be able to hear what they've been up to and how they achieved that. So I'll pass you over to Liz just now.
Hello there, my name's Liz Dighton and I'm one of the 3 computing science teachers at Boroughmere High School in Edinburgh. I've been asked today to just have a little chat to you about some of the success that we've been having with getting girls into computing science, and perhaps share some of the things behind what we do to maybe help encourage girls to be there. Well, our numbers are definitely very much improved, and in the past very much my classes were dominated by males, but in the last few years certainly we seem to have had an increasingly large number of girls who've taken our subject. In my S3 class this year, who I've chosen to take it as a subject, is 48% girls, so very much almost half and half. And that's fairly true of our other senior classes. In S4 and S5, there's about 30% of the class, and again, our advanced higher class, there are 8 out of the 22 girls. 22 pupils are girls, which is is great. That's the first time we've had a large number of girls taking it through all the way through to advanced higher computing. What we have noticed is once we get the girls into our classes in third year, they do tend to stay. Most of the girls who took advanced higher, are in my advanced higher class, are the ones who were in my class when we were in third year as well. And the higher class last year had virtually all of them in it, and just a few extra girls. But they have continued to take the subject very much so. So we've been sort of scratching our heads trying to think, what is it that we're doing to, or what are we doing differently to suddenly have this large number of girls in our classes? And it is very difficult to quantify, and we need to perhaps do a little bit more work and looking exactly at what we do. Our courses, certainly in first and second year, have changed a lot over the course of the last few years, and now we do have the pupils. We're lucky to have the pupils for one period a week now in both first and second year, but we are trying to do as much sort of fun, engaging and interesting types of things and challenging too in first and second year to show them that what a fantastic subject that this is. And that could include doing some things with physical computing. We use our Marty robots, which we're lucky to have, and we use microbits, but also just doing some fun coding activities, be that in HTML or in any of the other sort of block-based languages that we're more familiar with, like Scratch. Creativity, I think, definitely helps, in giving them lots of chances to do their own little projects on things that interest them has certainly been very positive. But even when I asked the girls themselves, why is it that you taking computing, none of them were really knowing. All of them just said to me, well, we liked it, it was fun, we enjoyed it, so we wanted to do it more. And I think that, coupled with the fact that a lot of their parents perhaps are becoming a bit more aware of the fact that it's a good subject for girls now, and it's not just for the boys to do, that perhaps it's something that they're maybe looking forward to doing and to take forward as a career beyond school. We need to do a lot more work on this, and anything we can do that will encourage more girls, be that running our girls only computing club or anything like that, is also going to be a positive. And it certainly, I feel that the class dynamic, when you've got more equally balance of the sexes in the class, leads to a much more sort of pleasant and classroom environment, and so it's certainly something we'll be continuing to encourage as we go forwards. Thank you for listening.
Well, that was great. Actually, very positive story. It's very easy to focus on the negative with the current situation, but nice to hear a positive report from Liz. I'm delighted and relieved to say that my colleague Ella has joined us again. So I will not have to chair the panel, which is good, and it will lead to a better experience for all, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pass over to Ella, and she will take it from here. Thanks, Ella.
Thanks, Matt. I'm sure you can all imagine what I've been doing. I had to turn the computer off and turn it back on again, like a pro. Okay, so welcome to the panel. Thanks for coming along, Stella and Amy. It's really good to have you here. Sorry for the tech hiccups. So the way we're going to do this is I've asked you to prepare for 3 short questions, and then we'll get a couple of questions from the rest of the attendees, if that's okay. So the questions I asked are, what are your career aspirations? Have you experienced any challenges from being a woman in computing, and who supported or inspired you? And maybe you could just say a little bit about who you are and what you're doing as well, to just give them a little context. Amy, would you like to go first, as you're first in the alphabet?
Yeah, hi, my name is Amy Gillis. I'm currently in my 3rd year of my graduate apprenticeship, where I work for Barclays Bank as a software developer in the cash settlements and payments technology team, and I'm also studying towards an honours degree in software engineering at the University of Glasgow. Career aspirations, and work, I've been involved in like creating trading systems as well as data science and automation of code. So I've been working with Java, Python and Angular. I assume after my apprenticeship is done, I imagine I'll just stay in Barclays because it's such a good place to work, a good work environment, and I'm surrounded by lots of colleagues who are like extremely knowledgeable. I'll probably still stick to like front end web design and data science, but I would like to progress like higher in my role in the future as I work up my knowledge. So like maybe like as a team leader, project lead. Who encouraged me? I would like to say it started from a young age with my two computing teachers in school when I was doing my Nat 5 and hires, Mrs. Blades and Miss Duffy. They helped encourage me to go on and do computing science at uni. I also have a good support system within like work as well, like my managers and all of my team, and as well as the university lecturers. They've also really helped and supported me over the past few years doing my apprenticeship. Challenges I face, I don't personally think I've had any challenges from being a woman in technology. I do think that the technology sector is like very male like dominant. But as the years have went on, I've like noticed like more women in like my uni courses as well as in the workplace, and it would just be great to see more women get involved in the future. I think that's me.
That's excellent. Thanks, Amy. Okay, Stella, over to you.
Hello, my name is Stella and I study at Edinburgh and Napier, and I'm part of NUSEC, which is the Cybersecurity Society. And we've done a bit of work with Ada, which I'll talk a bit about later. But the questions are, what are my career aspirations? I would say that I don't necessarily have a very regimented aspiration. I'm kind of more open to a bit of a dynamic future. I don't really think my career will want to be static, but I do hope to find something that I can focus on more towards software development, but with a hint of education involved, maybe not necessarily a teacher, but something related to education. I currently work as a learning technologist / designer. So I ideally want to work somewhere in the same kind of line, maybe as like an academic in software development to help with learning technology, so that I can be a part of the education, but also still researching in software development. So the next question is, have you experienced any challenges from being a woman in computing? And I would say yes. I think the biggest challenge I've had is making sure that I'm being taken seriously. I think there is still like a fair bit of distance to go for the general public to not see careers as gender specific. The lack of representation of women in tech and science as well is still fairly real. Obviously they are increasing, but even in my course at uni, there's probably about 10 girls in 100 or something in my year anyway. And I think there are companies that are trying to focus on getting women in tech, but I do sometimes feel like my male colleagues or counterparts sort of think that they're hiring women based on gender rather than skill. So I don't want to be seen by my own colleagues that I've achieved a role because of a box being ticked, but because that can spur on isolation, and I find that sometimes. But that's why events like this are quite important. But that's my experience with that. And supported, I would say that I'm pretty lucky that I've got a lot of pretty strong female role models in my life, mainly my friends in Edinburgh themselves, but also my brother is a huge inspiration for me because he is also a software developer, and he has always helped me from the beginning and believed in my ability, obviously not seeing me as a girl, just his sister. And also I hold myself accountable for my biggest supporter because I've been through some rough patches. I've had a previous degree in chemistry and career in chemistry that didn't go well. So a lot of plunges have been made. And then finally, my parents, of course, they taught me my work ethic and, you know, my knowledge thirst, I guess, is all down to them. And that's me. Thanks.
Thanks, Stella. That's really interesting. We haven't actually discussed how this questions from the floor bit works. Matt, how does it work?
Yes, I'm here, don't worry.
do we have a way for people to open the questions?
Yes, we have a question and answer facility. Should be there for people if they want to use it within the Zoom webinar. Let me see. You can also use the chat, I think. So if you have a question for either Stella or Amy, then go ahead and you can try using the Q&A feature on the on Zoom, or just drop something into the chat. And I'm sure hopefully Ella will be able to pick it up if you can see it there, Ella.
Okay, so I have a question already. It says, what do you think is really important to know about going into computer science? Amy, do you want to take that?
Yep. I would say the most important thing to know is just, sorry, I would say if you just like try your best at anything, like in the sense that like when you are doing university or if it's school you're at, if you just keep asking questions and you just apply your best to like whatever you're doing, that is an important thing. Sorry.
That's all right. Really put you on the spot there. So you know, you're just doing your best. I think that's a really good point, because often like women have a reputation for being perfectionist, in which doing your best is never good enough. So I think it's good to have that in context. Stella, what would you like to say?
I'd probably say, I mean, similar thing, that don't be afraid to ask questions. But also another thing that I would say is when you go into computing, when you're doing the lectures, a lot of it's like super practical, but the lectures are really theoretical. So, well, they have some elements of like examples, but I would probably make effort to look into like separate ways to learn. So I pretty much only learn by doing things. So I use things like Udemy or Free Code Academy to like substitute as well as my lectures, because there's some things that, you know, people teach in certain ways that you won't know or you won't vibe with, and you'll want to do something that is specifically more like responsive learning, like you'll get an answer straight away and you'll be able to learn from it practically. So I would, if you're more like that, I would not just rely on lectures, in fact, more rely on just going ahead and trying things yourself. That's probably what I'd say.
Okay, so I guess Amy has a good role there with being an apprentice. Right, I've got 3 questions from the floor, and that's going to be enough. So I think we're just going to answer these 3. The first question is from Amy, but presumably a different Amy. It's not from you. Which says, can you return to the same degree in computing after being away for so long? I'm not really sure I understand that question. Stella, maybe you could say something about coming back into a degree in computing later on.
Yeah, I don't know if they mean if you can use like your credits from before or something, because sometimes you, like one of my friends who's also a mature student did half of his degree and then went away to work, came back and continued in the 3rd year from where he left off. So there are ways that you can, but I think it's in a time limit. but also I came back to a degree and just started from the beginning. So that was my only experience with that really. But I think you can, but I think there is a time limit on how long your credits are worth something for.
Yeah, I think you're right, Stella. I think a few of my friends have like took a year out or whatever and said you can only come back after like a year. Or so. But I think it just depends on the uni. You would need to chat to like advisors and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth looking into. There are all sorts of routes in, so don't ever think that that's it and you've had your chance. So I've got a question from Ruth Bain. It says, can you remember any specific lessons at school that inspired you to pursue computing as a career? Amy, can you?
Yeah, I think one of the lessons in school that like stuck out to me was just like coding. I hadn't had previously any experience in coding before I started doing computing science in school at Nat 5 level. So I think we used Visual Basic. That was a programming language that we used. And I just remember like doing it. It seemed logical to me, and that it like helped me so much throughout my career because it's the same kind of fundamentals as you have in Python or Java, with like if statements or for loops, etc. As well as like HTML design. That I really enjoyed that, and that kind of motivated me to like go into computing.
Okay, Stella, what about you? Can you remember when?
Well, I left school probably a longer time ago than Amy. But we didn't properly have like coding. Our computing is very much, this is how Excel works, this is how Word works. So I think I'd probably say like maths was more like focused in that way. I mean, there was quite a fair bit of like algorithms and algebra involved in problem solving in programming that will probably come up if you do computing as a career. So I'd probably say maths, really. And then weirdly, like graphic design and stuff, we did a few things with like web design, that kind of thing.
Okay, right. I've got a question about the range of jobs available in CS. And I think this is quite an interesting question to ask you both, because Amy is obviously working in a big organization, and so you can see a lot of digital roles every day. And Stella, you know, you're probably at the mercy of the university's careers events. So I was wondering if you wanted to say something about the range of jobs that you saw that weren't software engineering. If you weren't software focused, is there anything else you'd like to do? Do you see other people's jobs as exciting? Stella, do you want to go first as you're unmuted?
I've been to like loads and loads of these career events. Do you know, there's always a lot of I mean, people like the army come to these career events. You can do intelligence for that. You could do, they have people coming up for jobs in just like project management so if you wanted to go into management rather than full on, you know, just being a software engineer. There's also UX as well, which is user experience, which is the like how a computer or a screen or anything related to technology is, you react to it and your relationship with that technology. Obviously financial, honestly, the list is humongous because every industry needs people that are tech focused really somewhere. And in my job as well, it is tech related, but it's also education related. So, and it's also design. So really you can get a whole big range of jobs, even in just one job. So that's my experience.
Cheers, Stella. Amy, do you want to tell us a bit about what you've observed at work?
So my team has lots of different job roles in it. So I am a software developer, and there's a few software developers on our team. But there's also like business analysts who they kind of get the requirement documents of the software we're building, and they like almost like write like tickets and stuff for us to work on based on the requirements document. So, and then they also like analyze the software once we've written it, which goes to like testing roles. You can like test software as well. There is project management roles, obviously, because that is like a big part of them, especially in Barclays, as well as there's loads of different roles, like adding on from Stella, there's UX designers, database people who focus more on databases and stuff like that. So it's not just software engineering.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Amy. I know that one of the things that we've tried to do with the festival is highlight the number of roles that are available. And we just got some videos through from Head Resourcing that are going to tell us about that book, which we'll put up on the site soon this week. But that's all we've got time for in terms of the panel. So thanks very much, Amy. And Stella, I'm going to just keep you on a moment to ask you about the Capture the Flag. But yeah, thanks, Amy. Really, really powerful to have you both here and talk about your work as well as your study, and see you actively working in the industry. Now, I've asked Stella to stay for a moment because Stella and NUSEC are Napier Security Society, have organised a Capture the Flag event. We've got a competition this week and next week, and Stella's going to say more about it and encourage you to get involved.
All right, so the Capture the Flag is, it's a Capture the Flag event, but it's not as simple as that. It's basically a problem-solving event that we have set up with different categories of all things related to cybersecurity. So, for example, we have things like cryptography, which is what it is, just hidden messages or hidden flags. Well, they're all flags, basically. Everything that we have made will be layered in a little hidden box or something, and you have to find your way in or around to find the flag. So if it was cryptography, for example, I could write the flag in a language and then you would decrypt it and get the flag out. So that's just like one example. And there's quite a few actually, but for our event, we're doing cryptography, steganography, which is messages hidden in images, or, QR codes, those kind of things. OSINT, which I can never remember exactly what it stands for, but it's basically finding information. It's a lot of researching rather than doing any hardcore coding or anything. It's mainly researching on the internet or following a trail and finding the answer. Then there's trivia, which again is just research, and there's MISC, which usually in Capture the Flag events are like pwn challenges. So that could be anything. When you think about people hacking things, you think of people getting into someone's server or their website. That sort of thing is the MISC. It's just hacking, I guess. And then there's reverse engineering, which kind of says what it is. You get given a file and then you reverse engineer the file to find the hidden message. It sounds kind of complicated, but we also have a lot of tools that you can use that we will give information on. And I would also say that this is beginner friendly. And there is some aspects that maybe you would need to know how to do some coding, but simple things can be used in Excel as well. It's just to show what CTFs can be. CTFs, or Capture the Flags, are like a globally known thing for security students and professionals, and you can win a lot of money doing it, but they are really, really hard in some cases. But obviously this is just a beginner one. So it will be on this week, but if you don't get a chance to do it this week, it'll be on, I think it's next week. And we do offer, I think we're offering some prizes for this, but we'll have to confirm exactly what they are, but they'll be like educational things and quite fun things. But just to note, we you can enter in twice, but you can't win twice. So, and I think the other thing that Kit wanted me to mention is we have a, I don't know if anyone knows what Discord is, but we have a Discord server that we usually set up when we host CTFs, because NUSEC hosts a fair amount of capture the flag events, and we usually have our sort of like help desk through a Discord server. So I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, but we have a link to it, and I assume people from groups will just join and they can ask us questions in there. Or if that's not possible, you can email us and I'll give you the emails of who to contact. I don't know what else anyone wants to know, really.
I think that's great, Stella. I mean, as you said, there's a competition running this week and one next. We've put one in each week because we know that some of the schools are off this week and some are off next week, depending where you are in Scotland. Anna's put a link to the webpage in the chat, so that will have all the details on. From the webpage, you can go to the Eventbrite for either, and then you register for the competition you want to get into, and then we'll send you, NUSEC will send you the information for that competition. And the first one launches tomorrow, but you can register tonight. You can do it on your own or in teams. We do have some great prizes. Again, the details are on the website. So yeah, put any questions in the chat if you've got more. And then I think we have to hand you back to Matt and get on with the next bit of the launch. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. Thanks.
Thanks, Stella.
Thank you, Stella, and thank you, Amy. That was really interesting, and the Hack the Flag sounds really interesting too. So yeah, do follow the link that Anna has put into the chat and see how you can sign up. So slight reshuffling of our order here. We've already heard from Liz. I should say that if you do want to catch up on what Liz said again, then it's all going to be available on the website. Okay, so next up we've got the Ada Scotland Inspiring Teacher Award for this year. We ran this last year as well, and we're very happy that thanks to our sponsors, we are able to offer another hamper full of ethically sourced goodies for the winner of this year's award. Nominations are now open. You can find that on our website. You can go to ada.scot/teacher-award. Very simple process. Just give us your name of the school the teacher works at, and up to 100 words explaining why you think they should win. The winner will be decided by members of our advisory board, and we are looking for nominations by the 19th of November. So, and we'll get the winner announced as quickly as we can after that. But yeah, do if you know of a teacher, whether it's a colleague or a teacher who's teaching you, who has been particularly inspirational in encouraging female pupils and female students to take up or stick with computing, then do let us know. Okay, we're also going to, I'm not entirely sure why that keeps happening. We're also going to launch a poster competition. Details will follow. We're going to post that up on the website at ada.scot/posters. The idea is that we're going to ask school pupils to design a poster that we can print out and send to hopefully every school in Scotland. And there may also be a couple of other little prizes there as well as the honour of having your work shown in every school in Scotland. But as I said, details of that will be posted soon. We're running that in conjunction with dress code, and details will be posted in the next day or two. Finally, just going to run through just some of the upcoming events and activities that are available over the next couple of weeks. All of this year's events and activities are listed at ada.scot/2021. But here is a quick selection of some of the things coming up. First of all, today, 5 p.m, we have another session from Barclays, which will allow you to discover what an early career in technology is all about, with a mixture of folk who work at Barclays. So do sign up to that one quickly because it's in just over an hour, so better get your tickets. Tomorrow, this is aimed perhaps more at a younger audience. This is for students in late primary and secondary school. And it's an introduction to game design using Microsoft Make Code. And that's brought to you by our friends at Skills Development Scotland. And that's proving to be quite popular. So I would, don't think we'll reach the limit yet, but I would get signed up as soon as possible for that one if you are interested, or if you know someone who's interested. This is a slightly different take. That's sorry, just it'll pop up there. So this is a mentoring circle where you'll be able to discuss concerns about gender balance, gender imbalance in tech and in computing science, and ways that we might improve the situation. This is run by our friends at Edinburgh Napier. And you'll also hear from Lara Findlay from Edinburgh-based startup Geared App about how she's been working to create an inclusive and welcoming environment at the startup. It's going to be a live interactive session, and it's a chance to, I think the official strapline is a chance to chat with like-minded individuals putting the tech world to rights, something along those lines. So if that sounds like something for you, then please do sign up. That's happening tomorrow evening. For people a little bit earlier in their career, again, this is perhaps more aimed at students, how to start coding, which is a session being run by our friends at Code First Girls, who are going to run an introductory class for free and also talk about the various classes and courses that they offer girls to get started in a career in code. And that is Wednesday this week. On Thursday, hope I've got my dates right. On Thursday, we've got Mahum Khan, who is a Women in Games ambassador, and she's going to be talking us through her career in the games industry, the highs and the lows, what she's learned along the way. Mahum has done a lot of really interesting stuff with virtual reality, Oculus, and now she's involved with the Nintendo Switch team at Unity 3D. So I think that'll be a really interesting one. And again, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions at the end. Everyone's welcome at that one, I think. Another popular one, so you might want to sign up to this one quickly, is another one on Thursday, is Exploring the World of Data and AI. That's brought to us by Rona McClellan and Anna Scott at the Data Lab Innovation Centre. And they'll talk you through what it's like to work with data and AI and about all the different career opportunities and pathways that exist. That's also on Thursday. Code Art, that's next week. We're into next week. This is on Tuesday. This is for school pupils, sort of P7 to about S3 or thereabouts. And this is where young people will learn to create shapes, to create art using computer programming. Using markup like HTML and technologies like CSS. So it'll give an understanding of how the coding works, but also give a little insight into the sort of variety of digital careers that we touched on earlier as well. It's not all about just writing programs. Leidos are also running a session next week on the Tuesday, that's next Tuesday, the 19th, where you'll get to hear from two amazing women whose careers started off very differently, from science into software, from art into business analysis. So a bit of a theme this year, there's a couple of events that are sort of highlighting the fact that there's no right way to get into tech. I feel like there are lots of different routes into tech, particularly for women who have previously not taken, for example, a computing science degree at university. There are other routes to a successful career. I love the sound of this one, Defend the Rhino. So this is brought to you by the University of Edinburgh's Data Education in Schools team, in partnership with the Digital Skills Education and also Skills Development Scotland again. That's next Wednesday. I don't think I'll do this one justice when I describe it, but it's to do with machine learning and building up models to recognize and identify poachers from video data before they poach a set of rhinos in Africa. So that's a really interesting and hands-on session, and that is next Wednesday. A slightly different tack. This is with Melissa DiDonato from Inner Wings, previously also from who's worked in the tech industry as a CEO. Melissa will be talking to Stuart McDonald, who is the founder and CEO of Smart Stems, about the importance of confidence and the role that confidence plays in empowering girls to, reach for goals and succeed and even consider a career in STEM. So that's also next Wednesday as well. Getting towards the end, don't worry. It's nice to have lots of interesting events. Also next week we've got a panel hosted by Ruth Eggington from Leidos. Apologies for not putting the Leidos logo on there. You can see I was a bit tight for space, but this is going to feature 4 women working in various different roles at various different companies. Amandine Eep, if I'm saying that right, she's a front-end developer at After Digital. Rosa Downing, who's a developer at Dog Digital. Bursra Sengal, who is a .NET and a developer at, oh crumbs, I can't remember, that's Bump. And Bethany Johnson, who's a test engineer at Storm ID. And that's also next Wednesday. That's going to be a really interesting one because there's a real breadth of experience there. I think all kinds of different roles. And so that would be worth checking out. Finally, for our events, and again, there are even more on the website, but I'm just picking out some particular highlights here. We've got a session here run by Dell, that again is going to look at it from a career point of view, the different options that are available to women in the tech sector. You'll hear from a couple of folk at Dell. It'll be an interactive discussion, and the idea, it's pitched primarily at students, is to think about the career options that might be available to them after school and university, and that's next Thursday. I don't want to keep on talking, so I'm just going to summarize some of the activities that we've got live. These are not, as opposed to sort of live events, these are ongoing activities, videos that you can watch in your own time. For example, we've got a great little video again from our friends at NUSEC, the Edinburgh Napier University Security Society, talking about imposter syndrome, where Stella, who we just heard from, is going to explain how I think particularly in software development, particularly in tech, it's easy to focus on what you don't know. And sort of that leads into that feeling of being an imposter, which affects women in particular, given that there aren't a lot of women in tech. We've also got a little session on automated testing from our friends at the Glasgow University Switch. That's going to cover a framework called Cypress, which is used for automated testing. University of Dundee students and researchers and academics have again contributed an excellent little video, this time focusing on how they use computers in their work and how they use computing. And we've also got a really interesting, quite novel looking session where LiDAR Forest, Ellen knows more about this than I do, but it's an online workshop that aims to share some aspects of things like optical physics and celebrates a number of important women in STEM, including Dr. Valerie Thomas, who is the main player in the development of the Landsat program. I think it's about calculating carbon and stuff like that. Again, I'm just massacring it. Ella's smiling, so we'll just go with that. But for proper details and a proper introduction, just take a look at ada.scot/activities. Okay, we're pretty much at time, so I just want to say thank you all for coming along, and thank you again to our sponsors, as I said, VeryConnect, AutoRec, and Morgan Stanley, who have made a lot of what we do possible. Also need to thank my fellow founders, Tony Scullion, who couldn't join us today, from Dress Code, and of course, Dr. Ella Taylor-Smith from Edinburgh Napier, who does join us, and Anna Doyle from Edinburgh, from University of Glasgow. I'll get fired for that. Anna Doyle from University of Glasgow, who is here in the background. And also thank you to Rachel Johnson, who has been providing us with admin and marketing support this year. That is it from us. Please do check out the website. Thanks, I should say thanks also to our speakers, of course, Liz, and also Jamie Hepburn, the Minister for Higher and Further Education. And thank you to our panelists, Amy and Stella. There's probably someone I'm forgetting, but thank you all for coming, and please do enjoy the festival and spread the word. Thank you.